What's going on, X-Men fans, and welcome back to another exciting fan casting video. If you guys are new here, feel free to click that subscribe button and that bell notification icon for more reviews, reactions, rankings, and more movie content. A few weeks ago at San Diego Comic-Con, Kevin Feige and Marvel Studios made their Phase 4 announcement of all the films and TV shows coming out in Phase 4. And in that ending of that announcement, Kevin Feige said that the Fantastic Four, as well as the mutants, which are the X-Men, are going to be coming into the MCU in supposedly Phase 5. About 2 weeks ago, I did a fan casting video on the MCU Fantastic Four cast. Who would I want to see play these characters? If you guys want to see that video, go check it out in the link right there. And for today's video, guys, I'm going to be doing a fan casting video for the MCU X-Men. Not the Fox X-Men, because Disney and Marvel, they're going to be recasting and rebooting the whole entire X-Men franchise. So no James McAvoy, no Michael Fassbender, no Jennifer Lawrence. You guys know the deal. What I want you guys to do down below in the comment section is let me know your fan casting picks. Who do you want to see play Wolverine, Professor X, Magneto, Mystique? Who do you want to see play those characters? Let's have a great discussion down below in the comments. Without further ado, let's get started! I'm going to start with the leader of the X-Men, that is Professor X. Now, I don't know if Marvel's going to cast an older version of Professor X and a young version like Stewart and McAvoy. So I just picked an older actor and a younger actor who could fit the role. And my first pick for an older version of Professor X is Bryan Cranston. Bryan Cranston, Walter White himself. I could see him play a superhero or a supervillain in particular, but I think Professor X would really work for Bryan Cranston because he's a very intellectual man. You know, he's a very approachable kind of figure. He's very smart. As he played Zordon in Power Rangers, he played that leader figure to a younger generation, and so I feel he could fit that role of Professor X really well, be a huge standout leader and a teacher. Because that's what Professor X is. He's a teacher at this school full of mutants, and I think Bryan Cranston can play an older version of Professor X really well. And as for my younger version of Professor X, I put Daniel Radcliffe. Daniel Radcliffe, Harry Potter himself. He hasn't been popping up in a lot of big studio movies since Harry Potter, but he's been popping up in some small indie films in these past couple of years, like Swiss Army Man and stuff like that. But I really want to see Daniel Radcliffe in more studio films, and I've always wanted to see him in a superhero film, and I think X-Men could work well for him, and I could definitely see him as a younger version of Charles Xavier, Professor X. You know Charles Xavier in X-Men First Class, he was definitely the ladies' man, but he grew to be very smart and intellectual. I could see Daniel Radcliffe play a younger version of Professor X as well as being a mentor to a whole student body full of mutants, and so Daniel Radcliffe would be my pick. And now we're going to Charles Xavier's former friend Eric Lencher, which is Magneto. Now for older Magneto, I'd love to see Sean Bean play older Magneto. Normally with Sean Bean in his roles, he plays a very connective character, but very sympathetic, and that's what Magneto is. He's evil, but you understand where he's coming from. He's evil, and he's so interesting as a character, and Sean Bean brings that as an actor, like as Ned Stark in Game of Thrones. Like, he's such a very honorable man, but it's a completely different character. But in Magneto, I think he could bring that intensity as well as an understanding of where he's coming from. And for young Magneto, I'm going with Armie Hammer. Now, Armie Hammer has popped up in Batman talks, some other roles, mainly Batman. Everybody wanted to see Armie Hammer play Bruce Wayne, Batman himself. But Robert Pattinson is playing Batman in Matt Reeves' film. And Armie Hammer, I've been wanting to see this guy pop up in a superhero movie for a while, and if Marvel now has the X-Men, so it's a franchise, so I think Armie Hammer would be perfect for a younger version of Magneto. The guy's extremely good looking, but it looks like he could play a bad guy really well, because I haven't seen Armie Hammer really play a bad guy, and I think he could definitely take a risk, and it could be a reward in the end. Next, we're going to Jean Grey. Jean Grey. Now, I put Saoirse Ronan. Now, Saoirse Ronan is a great actress, really coming up to her own in Lady Bird, in Brooklyn, and some other films like that. Another indie actress, mostly in Oscar movies, and to see her take on a risk of a superhero film, I think Saoirse Ronan would make a really great Jean Grey. Because Jean Grey is a very vulnerable character, as well as being extremely powerful. And I thought Famke Janssen and Sophie Turner played the character really well in the past. But I think Saoirse Ronan could really play that vulnerable side as well as powerful side that Jean Grey needs to be. And as turning into the Dark Phoenix, the Phoenix Saga was completely obliterated in the past films. Bring on a talented young actress like Saoirse Ronan. She has the age for it. She's really young. She's beautiful. Next, we're going to talk about Scott Summers' Cyclops. Now, Cyclops, I have Taron Egerton. Now, everybody wants Taron Egerton to play Wolverine. I have someone else for Wolverine. And if Taron Egerton doesn't get Wolverine, I could see him play Cyclops as well. And Taron Egerton's a very charismatic actor, and I think Cyclops would fit more for him. And Taron Egerton has shown that charismatic side and that intensity in the Kingsman movies, as well as Rocket Man recently this year. And Taron Egerton is just a rising actor. He's young, he's good looking, and I keep saying good looking a lot, but still, I think Taron Egerton would kill it as Cyclops. That's my pick. Next, we're going to go to Storm, and I have Amandla Steinberg. Am I pronouncing her right? Amandla Steinberg. Amandla Steinberg was really great in The Hate You Give. Such a breakthrough performance all around, and I think if you're looking for Storm, you definitely got to go for a younger side to the character, and Halle Berry was great in the previous films, and so I think with a young, unknown actress that could really come to her own, playing Storm, such a great, iconic female superhero in the X-Men franchise, Amandla Steinberg is an upcoming actress that's going to get a lot more movie roles, and why not give the chance to a rising star in this girl to play Storm. Up next, we have Hank McCoy, aka Beast. Now, I like Will Poulter in the role. Now, Will Poulter, saw him in We're the Millers, The Revenant, The Maze Runner, some other movies he did a great job in. Detroit, I think that's his best performance. Midsummer this year as well. And Will Poulter, he's a really young guy as well, and if you look at his picture, he really does look like he'd kill it as Beast, you know. He's a pretty tall guy. He doesn't look like a superhero. He looks like he could be this nerd guy, because that's what Hank McCoy is. He's a nerd. He's really smart. He's like a scientist, but as well as a superhero. Like, you don't buy Hank McCoy as Beast, and that's what I think Will Poulter could bring, and I think he'd be perfect. Next, we have Bobby Drake, aka Iceman. Now, let's talk about Lucas Hedges. Lucas Hedges is another young, up-and-coming actor. Manchester by the Sea, seriously. Phenomenal performance by Lucas Hedges, and also popped up in Lady Bird and some other films. He has that cocky side to him, that fun side to him, and that human side really well. In Manchester by the Sea, I felt that, and I feel like you need a really charismatic young actor to play Iceman, and if we're going young, let's do Lucas Hedges, because I think he could do really well as the character. Next, we're going to Mystique. Mystique, Jennifer Lawrence, she was fine. But let's talk about Vanessa Kirby. I talked about her in my Invisible Woman Sue Storm casting. I'd like to see Vanessa Kirby in a superhero role. And there's also talks of her as playing Catwoman in Matt Reeves' Batman film. What other character can Vanessa Kirby play really well? She's a badass Mystique. Mystique is really sexy, beautiful, but also deadly. And that's what Vanessa Kirby is. She is beautiful, sexy, and deadly. I mean, look at her in Mission Impossible Fallout and Hobbs and Shaw. Those action roles she played in. She was really beautiful, good looking, but she can throw down and break your neck and face. Next, let's do Rogue. Now, for Rogue, let's go with a younger actress. I really like Maya Hawke. She played Robin in Stranger Things Season 3, such a breakthrough performance. The younger daughter of Ethan Hawke and Uma Thurman. Now, Maya Hawke also popped up in Once Upon a Time in Hollywood in that ending. Maya Hawke could really bring those characteristics that Rogue is known for into that role. And I think it would be great. She's a young up-and-coming actress. She looks like she could play the role really well. And time to bring stars that are up-and-coming into the MCU. Next, let's talk about Kitty Pryde. And I have Millie Bobby Brown. Now, Millie Bobby Brown was rumored to be cast in the Eternals as Sprite, but it was given to another person. She wasn't in it. And now I could see Millie Bobby Brown pop it up in an MCU movie in the future. Why not go with Kitty Pryde? Because Kitty Pryde is young, played by Ellen Page in the past, and she's a mutant character who can transport things back in time, people back in time in the past, and Millie Bobby Brown has those characteristics just like Eleven in Stranger Things. She can go into people's brains and look at what they're doing right now. And I think Millie Bobby Brown could play the character of Kitty Pryde really well, so why not go for a really well-known star? Speaking of Stranger Things, let's continue that route with the character of Quicksilver, and let's talk about Gaten Matarazzo, who plays Dustin in Stranger Things. Gaten Matarazzo is one of my favorite parts of Stranger Things is Dustin, just the kid's humor and just his timing is extremely perfect, and I think that could work really well for Quicksilver. Another character just like Beast. You look at Quicksilver and you think, kid doesn't look like a superhero at all. He just looks like he wants to have fun. And I think that's what the kid Gaten Matarazzo could do with Quicksilver. I think he's young enough to play the character. He has the humor, the quips back and forth, running fast in motion and having great comedic moments. Those slow-mo shots of Quicksilver just playing random music in the background. I think that could really work for Gaten Matarazzo. Next, let's talk about Colossus, and I put Florian Munteanu, who plays Victor Drago in Creed 2. Now, this actor did a really great job in Creed 2 playing Victor Drago, Ivan Drago's son. He has that big, intimidating body to him. He's really physically fit. And I think Florian Munteanu fits the character really well. He's Russian. He's extremely fit. He's big. And maybe you could pop out some quips, some humors back and forth. We'll see. They go in that route for Colossus. Cast this actor because of his height from Creed 2. Alright, I got two more characters to talk about here. Let's talk about Nightcrawler. Now, I have a really well-known indie actor, Timothy Chalamet. Timothy Chalamet also in Call Me By Your Name with Armie Hammer. That would be pretty cool to watch. And he's also going to be in Dune next year, Denis Villeneuve's film, which I'm super excited about, Lady Bird. If you want to just play a guy that also doesn't look like a superhero at all, but just have his nice quips back and forth, and Timothy Chalamet could be an actor that can transform into any role he plays. And I think he can transform into playing Nightcrawler, having those quips, that likability, and just the fact that he doesn't look like a superhero, because that's what most of these X-Men characters are. Most of them are kids, and Timothy Chalamet is a young star kid. And finally, the one you have all been waiting for, Wolverine himself. This is impossible, because who can take on the claws after Hugh Jackman has played the role effortlessly and flawlessly throughout almost 20 years? Well, I have one Wolverine choice, and that is Kit Harington himself, Jon the Bastard Snow, King of the North, Kit Harington. Now, let's talk about this. Kit Harington is the perfect age for Wolverine, 32 years old. And look at his look. Come on, look at that beard, look at the hair, and his English accent. We know Wolverine is Canadian, but Kit Harington, he just has the face of Wolverine. He has that young, aggressive face of Wolverine that can really screw some dudes up. He has the voice for Wolverine. He can get really loud and scream, and he knows how to fight. Like, if you've seen Game of Thrones, him as Jon freaking Snow, the way he fights some dudes off, White Walkers killing them, some dudes in the Night's Watch whooping their asses effortlessly. That is what Kit Harington, he is Wolverine. Like, Wolverine is a guy who can rip people apart effortlessly and just goes berserker and rage And Tom Hardy, everybody's been saying Tom Hardy is the perfect Wolverine, but Tom Hardy, he's Venom now, so that can't happen. Kit Harrington has those characteristics that I think could be a perfect replacement for Hugh Jackman. So that is my pick for Wolverine. There you have it, guys. That was my X-Men fan cast for the MCU's X-Men. So in the comment section down below, do you guys agree with my picks or disagree with them? If not, let me know your picks for which characters and what actors you want to see playing them. Let's have a great discussion down below. Thank you guys as always for watching this video. All my social media links are in the description below, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Bye.